Alright, so today is an how-to video on how to install a front sway bar on a Honda S2000. So this is what I have. This is a Whiteline front bar, and this is just going to be a direct replacement for whatever I have in their stock. I am going to reuse my end links, and it does look like the Whiteline bar does come with its own bushings and brackets, so I'll be using that. And the installation should be pretty straightforward. So what you're dealing with is 2 bolts over here and over here on each side for the sway bar bracket, probably 17s, and really only 1 bolt for the end link here. So you only really have to worry about I guess either taking the lower or I'm sorry, it will have to be the lower. But as long as you do both lowers, then on both sides the sway bar should come out, and you could transfer over all the hardware after you've done that. Okay, and the first thing you're gonna have to do, and this is probably the hardest step as well, is you're gonna have to remove this lower sway bar nut. And the reason why it's hard is because, especially on cars that may be a little bit more rusty, this one doesn't look so bad, but you know, this is a hex and nut type design, and what that basically means is if you try and just apply torque on that nut to break it loose counterclockwise, it's just going to spin the end link, meaning you're gonna have to grab the inner side of that with the hex wrench or something, or a through socket, and manually drive the nut all the way out. What I usually have done with these in the past is, if you have an impact gun, I think they do a great job at breaking these loose, and you know, eventually it's just going to start spinning. But just use the impact gun to break it loose if you have one, and then finish it off with a wrench and a hex key. So I'll kind of show you how to do that the best I can. This is a kind of an awkward angle, but let's try. So that's gonna be a 14 mil, which I have here on my impact gun. Now I'm going to break it loose, which you'll hear because it'll apply torque and then kind of start spinning. Okay. So when you hear that, that means it's been broken loose. You can go ahead and take that off. You get a wrench, which I have a 14 mil here, ratcheting wrench, and a 5mm Allen key, which fits inside that hole. So you want to have the wrench, and what you're going to do is you're going to take your Allen key and then tighten it to drive the nut out. Okay, so you can see my wrench and my Allen key, and I'm going to rotate the Allen key this way, and hopefully this should be enough to drive this end link out. Let's give that a shot. So I'm going to use my ratcheting wrench to my advantage, and if you have a 3/8 bit that is a 5mm hex, that's much easier. I'm trying to do it this way. Alright, so this is why I don't like this kind of design, and what I've done here is I've rounded off the inside nut, the hex key, before the nut was fully loosened, which means I can't take this out anymore. Luckily, there's another joint that you can remove the sway bar at, which is the upper one, which I have removed, and you can just pull this out and remove the sway bar that way. That works too, but you know, at this point, because I've ruined this ending, I'm just going to have to cut this off and just replace it when I get the chance. So not a big deal. The sway bar will come off either way, but you know, it's still an annoying issue. Okay, so that's taken care of, kind of. What you're going to do now is loosen the two bolts that are holding the sway bar bracket on. Those are going to be 14s. And you could go ahead and just remove these completely altogether. Alright, so that's off. Go ahead and do the same on the other side, and the sway bar will be ready to come out. Okay, so at this point the sway bar's been loosened up on both sides, so go ahead and just grab it and carefully fish it out of there. Alright, this tray needs to come out, which is annoying. Alright, so that is out. So just this plastic cover needed to come out in order to access the sway bar, which isn't a big deal, just something that's just annoying to do, but whatever. But yeah, here's the old sway bar compared to the new one. So hopefully this makes a noticeable difference in stability during autocross. Time will tell. But yeah, so this end link, as I mentioned, I'm going to have to cut out of the control arm on that side, which is going to be annoying. And might as well just replace both of them while I'm at it. So I'll be doing that, and yeah, that should be it. I'm going to install the sway bar without the end links, and then I'll tighten the brackets down and I'll kind of leave the video there. Alright, so I had to cut this end link out, which was a pain, but whatever. I like breaking out the angle grinder whenever I can. Okay, so now we're finally ready for the reinstallation. So I'm not going to transfer that over like I originally wanted to do, just because I'm going to be replacing that end link, so might as well do both sides. But I'm still going to install the sway bar, so kind of roughly copy over where the bushings used to be. And I'm going to start the bolts and also reinstall this plastic tray. Okay. Double. Sort of. Actually, I'm not problem. I'm not ready. Yes. No. And with that, the sway bar is now installed. So, couple of things is Don't forget to tighten these brackets. I don't remember the torque specs off the top of my head, but I'll include it in the video. Put the plastic tray back on, and I am waiting for the end links to come in, but they go back on the same way. Now, just to point out, it does turn out that the end links for the S2000 in the front are size specific, left and right. So just make sure you put the right one on the bar. And that really wraps it up. So congratulations on the job well done. Next, I think I'm going to cover installing the rear coilover, and after all that's complete, then we'll put the car back on the ground and see how it looks.